All right, let's just jump right in. We spend so much time talking about how to make money, right? How to build wealth. But there's this other side of the coin, a piece of the puzzle that's way more important. And honestly, we just don't talk about it enough, how to keep the money you've made. And it turns out, getting rich and staying rich, they're two totally different skills.
And this quote, right here, this is the key to everything we're going to talk about today. You see, the real secret to lasting wealth isn't about hitting it big over and over again. Nope, it's about survival. It's about making sure you don't make the one mistake that takes you out of the game for good.
So, to really get this, I want you to travel back in time with me. It's 1929. The stock market's been on an absolute tear for a decade, the roaring 20s, right? But it's all about to come crashing down. I mean, we're talking about the most legendary crash in history. Fortunes are about to be vaporized overnight.
And right in the middle of this chaos, this financial hurricane, are two guys, Jesse Livermore, maybe the most famous stock trader of all time, and Abraham Jermansky, a real estate mogul who was just crushing it. Both were unbelievably smart, both were incredibly rich, and the crash was about to change both of their lives. Forever.
And what happened here is just, wow. The contrast couldn't be more extreme. As the world was financially collapsing, Jesse Livermore, the trading genius, did the unthinkable. He bet against the market. He shorted it. And on one of the worst days in Wall Street history, he went home to his family and told them he just made the equivalent of about $3 billion today. Meanwhile, Abraham Jermansky, who bet that the good times would keep rolling, lost everything. He literally just vanished. So you have a clear winner and a tragic loser, or so it seemed.
But here is the gut punch, the twist in the story. Just 4 years later, by 1933, Jesse Livermore, the man who timed the crash perfectly, the guy who made billions, was also completely broke, wiped out. He got cocky, took on way too much debt, and lost it all. In the end, both of these brilliant men who had climbed to the very top of the mountain of wealth met tragic ends.
So, what on earth happened? How could the man who so masterfully beat the 1929 crash fail so epically just a few years later? Well, their story perfectly shows us that there are two very, very different sides to the wealth equation. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, you have to ask yourself, these weren't amateurs. They were geniuses in their fields. So where did it all go so wrong? How could they be so good at the first part, getting rich, and so bad at the second? And here's the answer. It's so simple, but it's something almost everyone misses. The skills you need to build a fortune are often the complete opposite of the skills you need to hold on to it. It takes two totally different ways of thinking. Think about it. Getting wealthy, that takes risk. It takes optimism. It means being bold and putting yourself on the line. But staying wealthy, that's a whole different game. It requires humility. It needs a healthy dose of paranoia, realizing that your gains can disappear in a flash. It's about patience and having the humility to admit that, you know what? Luck played a part in my success, and I can't expect that luck to last forever. And this all boils down to what I call the art of survival. The people who win in the long run aren't just the ones who get rich quick. They're the ones who master the art of staying rich. They play for longevity, not for quick, flashy wins. I mean, check out this quote from Michael Moritz. His firm, Sequoia Capital, is one of the most successful venture capital firms in history. They backed Apple, Google, you name it. And after 40 years of just unbelievable success, what's his reason? Fear. He says they've always been afraid of going out of business. That right there is the survival mindset. You know, this really gets to Warren Buffett's secret weapon. We all obsess over his incredible returns, but his true genius? It's his staying power. It's his endurance. He didn't load up on debt. He didn't freak out and sell during any of the 14 recessions he's lived through. He didn't chase silly fads. He just survived. He stayed in the game long enough to let compounding work its magic.
But to really hammer this point home, let's look at the flip side. A little cautionary tale. I want you to meet Rick Guerin. Back in the day, he was an investing partner with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. And by all accounts, he was just as smart as them. But he had one fatal flaw. He was in a hurry.
So, when the market tanked in the mid-70s, Guerin was in trouble. He'd used margin loans. He was leveraged to the hilt. And because of that, he was forced to sell his shares of Berkshire Hathaway back to Warren Buffett for less than $40 a share. Can you imagine? He was just as brilliant, but he was missing the one skill that mattered most: survival. He got taken out of the game. Okay, so what's the takeaway for us? How do we actually use these stories to build our own survival mindset? Well, it really boils down to a pretty simple framework.
It's really three key things. First, your goal should be to become financially unbreakable. Build resilience. Cash isn't a bad asset sitting on the sidelines. Think of it as oxygen. It's what lets you breathe during a crisis when everyone else is suffocating. Second, plan on your plan not going according to plan. The world is crazy and unpredictable. You need a margin of safety for all the stuff you can't see coming. And third, you need to be a paranoid optimist. Be wildly optimistic about the future, but be absolutely terrified of the short-term risks that could prevent you from ever getting there.
So let's end with this thought. Staying wealthy isn't about being a genius who's right all the time. It's about setting up your finances so you can take a punch, because you will be wrong sometimes. It's about making sure your losses are survivable, so you can stick around long enough to enjoy your big wins. And that is the true art of survival.